This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Hi, I'm Brad Lubben. I'm an Extension Policy Specialist from the University of Nebraska, and I'm in Manhattan as part of the two-state Kansas and Nebraska Farm Bill educational series here. One of the issues that we're talking about is conservation and the potential funding and the potential support for conservation programs that continue in the Farm Bill. The biggest conservation program that we're paying attention to is probably the CRP, the Conservation Reserve Program. It's been around since 1985. At one time, it enrolled as many as 37 million acres across the country, but we know it's been shrinking in the last decade as well, and it's now down to around 23 million acres. The cap has also shrunk over time, and it's currently at 24 million acres, just in time for lower commodity prices, which frankly might encourage some producers to look fondly at trying to re-enroll or enroll more acreage back in the CRP. Well, we can't do that unless the cap is raised, and so one of the fundamental policy questions is about where that cap should be at. But if we think the program should get bigger, as some constituents concur, then you got to find a way to raise the cap, and if you raise the cap, you've got to find the money to pay for the new acres that would be enrolled. That's one of the budget challenges. There's also a concern, or at least a question, about the payment rates on the CRP. By definition, they are a function of cash rents for cropland in each county. And in fact, under continuous enrollment provisions, a landowner can enroll acreage for high priority practices at that going cash rental rate. Well, cash rents tend to lag behind actual crop prices and profitability, and thus cash rents in the CRP have been growing even as cash rents or even as crop profitability has fallen off the last couple of years. That leaves us a little bit concerned that the payments in CRP are somewhat out of line with current crop economics, and that has some suggesting that in order to better balance those two, maybe the CRP rental rate should be reduced. A proposal to reduce it by 20% so that the maximum payment is 80% instead of 20% is one option on the table. It's quite possible that reducing payment rates might be a way to find the money to also increase the enrollment cap. And so that's certainly one option that we might watch for in the CRP. There is one other area of particular note in the conservation programs, and that's the funding for working lands programs, namely EQIP and CSP. That's the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and the Conservation Stewardship Program. Both of those have received increased funding over the years since they were introduced in the 1990s and the early 2000s, and that funding continues to grow. But the question really tends to be about the rate of growth in funding. How much budget support is there to find new money to grow them faster versus is there any possibility that we might consolidate the two as a way to save money? That's really the question ahead for the working lands, and between CRP and also the working lands, that's the biggest part of the conservation portfolio.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business is started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer and work with you.